Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to welcome you into the official second episode.
There you go.
Sorry. Second episode of the B2 show. Tonight I am joined by none other than the Gimixx.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to enjoy my Capri Sun.
Your Capri Sun. I am
Not
enjoying a nice, delicious orange vanilla Coke.
Capri Sun, Coca-Cola, not sponsors, but could be.
So thank you to already 5 listeners tonight. I'd like to welcome you in again. This is the B2 show. My name is Kilbo Fraggin. We've been doing the stream thing for about 8 months?
12 minutes.
12 minutes. And joined by Gimixx. He is a close friend, and by close friend, I mean close to going out the door friend.
Yeah, that's hurtful, but true.
So anyway, again, officially the B2 show live for the second time and probably the last. So I would like to do a couple shout outs here real quick. First of which is going to be the Belding Beatnik Bazaar, which is happening in Belding, Michigan. For those of you that don't know where that is, don't worry, you're not the only one. But Belding, Michigan, it is the largest farm slash, not a flea market, but craft show in the Ionia and Montcalm County area in Michigan. So if you want to check that out, once again, that is happening this Saturday from 9 to 1. Would love to see you out there. I am going to be the MC for the day. And then we also have Tailwaggers Pet Rescue out of Wyoming, Michigan, who they actually have been around for a little bit now. And they drive all the way to Texas to rescue dogs and kill shelters. And my wife and I have the pleasure of fostering puppies that they rescue from Texas. So huge shout out to those two.
Yes.
And then, do you get anything?
No.
Okay.
I don't have any shout outs. I don't have all these connections. Shout out to Capri Sun.
To Capri Sun. Alrighty. And then one last thing before we get into the topic tonight. We are currently working on a new Facebook page for the podcast specifically.
Yes.
So be on the lookout here in the next few days.
Anytime.
Yeah.
I'm here to help.
The next few days, be on the lookout for the new Facebook page to hit. It'll be called the B2 show because obviously that's who we are.
Yeah, we'll be working on that next couple of days. We actually have free time for a change for a couple of days. Well, sort of.
Free?
Free.
I don't know that it's free, but...
we don't have to be at work, let's put it that way.
Pardon me.
So yeah, so we'll be kind of working on that, getting some stuff set up. We are also kind of half, what's the word I'm looking for? Not enthusiastically, with not a lot of energy and dedication, working on getting the recordings of these podcasts to either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, things like that.
Yes. So
I mean,
so be on the lookout.
We've talked about it, and that's as far as we've gotten.
Yep. So be on the lookout for that on the B2 Gaming Facebook page, which there is a link below the video. So, with that and everything out of the way, let's get into the topic for the day, night, wherever you are.
Yeah, the topic for this current point in time.
So, today, we decided as a group that we are going to be talking about ethical dilemmas and or ethical paradoxes. So, an ethical dilemma or an ethical paradox is a decision-making problem between two possible moral imperatives, neither of which is unambiguously acceptable or preferable. The complexity arises out of the situational conflict in which obeying one would result in transgressing another, sometimes called ethical paradoxes in moral philosophy. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. We're basically going to be, we've got a bunch of examples that we're going to go through tonight, and just kind of talk about what we would do in each situation.
Just kind of gonna throw out some examples, go through, our
Mindset.
our mindsets, our ideas, kind of what we feel we would possibly do in certain situations.
Yeah.
And of course, anybody watching / listening, feel free to give us your input as well.
Yes.
So,
all right, let's get the show on the road.
All right, so kind of started off with is kind of a common, when you go like the ethical dilemma is kind of the first one that most people bring up, like in this kind of situation. Often to wow, jeez, we're off to a great start.
Yep.
It's a situation that is known as the trolley problem, which got a little blurb here about it. I'll go ahead and just read that off real quick. The trolley problem. You see a runaway trolley moving towards 5 tied up or otherwise incapacitated people lying on the tracks. You happen to be standing next to a lever that controls a switch. If you pull this lever, the trolley will be redirected onto a side track and the 5 people on the main track will be saved. However, there is a single person lying on that side track. You have 2 options. Do nothing and allow the trolley to kill 5 people on the main track, or pull the lever, leaving the trolley at the side track, where it'll only kill a single person.
Alrighty. So I think in this instance, for me, it's pretty cut and dry and simple. And of course, along with, I think when we were researching this, I think it was about 90% of the population would pull the lever.
Yeah.
I know when we were researching this too, that there was like the 10% of the population is okay with killing the 5 people because they didn't have a play in anything. So
right, they're not the ones who tied him up. They're not the ones who, essentially orchestrated this situation.
So they're just going to let nature happen and nature run its course, basically.
Yeah, they kind of feel that, like, even though they're not doing anything to prevent it, they're not causing the situation, therefore they're not either legally or morally held accountable for said actions.
But I just don't know how you could, like, in this situation, like, go home and just be like, yeah, I let 5 people die today when I could have only let 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, my initial, kind of reaction is to just say, right away, easy, pull the lever, kill the 1 person, save the 5, right? Mm-hmm. In all honesty, I would be the person who froze up, who panicked, who didn't do anything because I couldn't decide what to do.
So you just stand there next to the lever.
I honestly think that in that situation, I don't know how I would. I want to say, obviously, you want to say it's easy. It's an easy decision, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you look at it just logically: 5 people dead versus 1 people dead, 1 person dead.
1 people dead.
1 people dead. You look at it as just logic, binary numbers. It's easy, Yeah. But if you ever watched Walker, Texas Ranger, he could save everyone. We are not Chuck Norris, okay? No. As much as we want to be.
Yeah.
But when you're in Texas, look behind you. Because that's where the Rangers are going to be. Nothing? Okay.
I was gonna go bound. Anyway.
But yeah, like you wanna, initially, like my jerk reaction is just to say, yeah, one person, easy choice. But I also know I can't choose what the fuck to make for dinner.
Right.
You know what I mean? How am I gonna like make a good decision that involves literally like people's lives in my hand?
Yeah. No, I get that.
So like I want to say, yeah, one person, easy. But I don't know. I honestly think that I would be that person who just freezes up and panics and does nothing.
Yeah. So, I guess to take this a little bit one step further, because some people are, yeah, it's easy. Like me, it's easy. Just pull the lever. So, first edition I have, so the same situation. You've got 5 people on one side and one person on the side track, and if you pull the lever, the train will divert to the side track. But instead of them all being strangers, what if the one person on the track was some sort of relative?
Depending on the relative.
Right? No kidding. Yeah.
It might make it easier to pull that lever.
Okay, so what if it was your mother?
Pull that lever.
Oh, wow.
Real quick.
Wow. Alrighty.
It's like, oh, it's my mom. I'm not even gonna look because he was on the other side of the track. I'm just gonna.
No, I think for me, if it was a relative on that one, or the one person was a relative, it'd still be hard. But I think in the long run, I'd still have to pull the lever.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Again, that's what I want to say that I would do. But like, I'm gonna have a hard enough time being able to like physically force myself to pull the lever when it's a stranger. Also part of me thinks it might be easier if it's someone I know. Like, jokes aside, like if I look over there and I see somebody like my mother, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, like in my head, like just kind of thinking this through, it almost makes it easier to pull the lever when I know who it is.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Because you don't know, like with a stranger, you don't know, I guess, in a way, like what they have. Like the one stranger could have, like 5 kids and he's or she is a single mother or father. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I see where you're coming from.
If I see my mother on the track, she has me as a child, so she's ready to go.
Yeah.
She's good. She's ready to get out of this off this ride of having me as a child.
Right.
So
I think anybody would.
Yeah, it's not a fun place to be. Yeah.
So the next thing with the trolley problem is, so a little bit different situation. So you still see a runaway trolley or train, whatever we want to call it. And instead of there's no side track in this scenario. So you have the one track and there's 5 people on it, but you happen to be standing on like an overpass bridge.
Okay.
And there happens to be a fairly large person next to you that if you pushed him off the overpass, he would be able to stop the train.
That is a small train or a big man?
Right. If you physically had to push somebody off the bridge, so not just pulling a lever, would you be able to do that?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on how big this guy is. Am I physically going to be able to push this guy?
In a perfect world, let's say you can push him. He's a big dude. He can stop the train. Do you push him?
And to save how many people?
5.
5?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the dude's that big, he's probably not going to live much longer anyway.
Wow. Alrighty. Well, there goes all of our fan base. I'm just kidding.
This is coming from a big dude. From one big dude to another. I don't know. I want to say that I would do the follow the path that's gonna end with the least amount of casualties. I think this one it kind of changes the way you think about it a little bit, though.
I agree.
Because like with the train, you have a perfectly clear path of what's gonna happen.
Right.
It's plain as day. Either you pull the lever, kill one person. Don't pull the lever, you kill 5.
Right.
With this one, I don't really know how to word what I'm thinking here, but like I feel like kind of changes the way you have to approach it a little bit, because it's not. I mean, when you, I don't know. Let me think here for a second. When you present it in this way, like it is a lot more kind of, binary, if you will, very
right.
But in that kind of situation, is it going to be as clear? And if you're in that situation, that this is what I should do, if that makes sense.
Well, I think a lot of people have an issue with it because you're actually now not just like pulling a lever, like
you are physically, like you're literally
causing,
your hands are on.
I mean, even with the lever, you're causing somebody's death, but like your hands literally touch the person. So that's where a lot of people have more of an issue with this scenario than they do with the lever, because it's a yep.
You're kind of the metaphorical blood on your hands.
Right.
This one being almost pretty close to literal in this situation.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, hopefully he's not bleeding just when you touch him.
Right.
I mean, that actually might make the decision easier. If he's bleeding, it's like, all right, well, this is easy. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. So that is the trolley problem. I think we covered that fairly well. Ish.
I mean, I don't know. The trolley problem is an interesting issue to think about.
Yes.
I mean, because the thing is, you look at it, it's very, jeez, I can't think tonight. Words are not my strong suit, apparently. It's very, like, cut and dry. It's very clean.
Yep.
Like, if you look at it on paper, it's like 1 life versus 5 lives.
Yeah.
You look at it and it's clear. Like, you can say, hey, what do you think you should do? Oh, it's simple. Save 5 people.
Right.
Excuse me.
But I think that in the actual situation, like, nobody ever knows what they're actually going to do in that situation.
Yeah, and that's
kind of the whole idea of the podcast tonight. So
yeah, that's the thing. Is like if you don't pull the lever, right? Like, do you feel as guilty as if you did pull the lever? Like, which causes kind of a bigger sense of guilt? Do you think? Because you don't pull the lever. Obviously, you feel bad because you are partially responsible for the death of 5 people. However, like, I feel like you can kind of take some of that ease off yourself because you didn't put them there.
Yeah. Like,
you'd probably still feel guilty because you still are kind of the reason those people are dead.
Right. No, and I know what you're saying, but I also, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about this too easily, but it's just the 1 versus 5 that, like, is,
Yeah, see,
easy
that
peasy, lemon squeezy.
You look at the numbers, it's easy. But, like, I'm trying to, like, think of, like, the aftermath on you. Or, me, obviously. But, like, you pull the lever. Like, you might have some guilt eased because you did save 4 people, I guess, if you look at it that way.
Right.
But you are a lot more directly responsible for that person's death.
Yeah.
Because again, you didn't put them there, but you made the decision to physically pull the lever, to physically move the train, to hit them.
Right. No, I get it.
So it's like I don't know which guilt. I think is I feel as far as like, you know, my guilt levels and kind of my morals.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like they're pretty even as to how I think basically my life is gonna just go down in a fucking spiral.
Right.
No matter which decision I make.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I mean, it's gonna be tough aftermath, but in that situation, like,
yeah,
I'm still gonna have to pull the lever. What if that one person was 90 years old? Oh, I would crank that lever 200 times.
Oh,
Sorry.
Well, that might be too many times, because what if you hit it one too many times and then it goes back? You really should just do it just once and leave it.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like, person was a 2-year-old.
Ooh.
That actually, the 90-year-old, I feel like still makes it easier, because I feel like me as a 90-year-old person, right? If I'm the one stuck on that track, right? And I see, hey, I'm a 90-year-old person. Well, I wouldn't have to see that. I would already know that, because I am the 90-year-old person. And I look over and I see a group of 5 people, and I can clearly see what has to be done. Being a 90-year-old, I ain't got much time left, do I? You know?
Yeah.
Just logically, I think I'll just be impressed that I made it that far to begin with. So I think I would encourage whoever's pulling the lever to pull the lever. And that's 90. How I would, at 90. But when
I also, 2 years old, it's hard for me. Like, because I don't know how to say this without it saying bad, so I'm just going to shoot for it. They haven't lived a full life yet, but they also haven't started their life yet. But I don't know if I could kill a 2-year-old.
That one adds man.
That adds a lot of factors.
That even like binarily, I can't even like give you the easy answer.
Right.
2 years. Oh, man,
like,
I don't know.
90 is easy. Like if it was 1 2-year-old on the sidetrack and 5 90-year-olds.
No, that's easy. I ain't touching the lever.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like most of the old people would agree with me on that decision.
Yeah.
You know, there's always the one guy who's like, I'm gonna live to 180. No, you're not. I ain't pulling the lever. Right. Sorry, Grandpa.
You're cut off.
But yeah, like 2 years, like a child, like really, like even a child of any age, really. He doesn't have to be just 2 years old. Like a child. Oh.
Wow.
You know, right. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I honestly feel if there was a child involved, I would not pull the lever.
Yeah.
Or I would pull it right away, depending on the child.
It was annoying. Bye.
Yeah. It just says one annoying thing, I'm just pulling it and walking away.
Right. Start singing Old Town Road.
Pulled it Old Town Road. No, I'm gonna derail the train and I'm gonna drive it myself and.
Beep beep. All right.
Yeah, that changes the question a bit.
A little bit. So let's jump into the second example. So let's just say I'm gonna make up oh no, that's fine. The mood at Baileyville High School is tense with anticipation. For the first time in many, many years, the varsity basketball team has made it to the state semifinals. The community is excited too, and everyone is making plans to attend the big event next Saturday night. Jeff, the varsity coach, has been waiting for years to field such a team. Speed, teamwork, balance, they've got it all. Only one more week to practice. He tells his team, and not a rule can be broken. Everyone must be at practice each night at the regularly scheduled time. No exceptions. Brad and Mike, two of the team starters um, are two of the team starters. From their perspective, they're indispensable to the team and the guys who will bring victory to Baileyville. So they show up an hour late to the next day's practice. So in this instance, I guess you play the role of the coach. So Jeff is furious, so you're Jeff. You're not Dan anymore, you're Jeff.
Good. Could use a change.
Obviously, the two kids have disobeyed his orders. The rules said that they should be suspended for 1 full week. If he follows the rule, Brad and Mike will not be able to play in the semifinals, but the whole team is depending on him. What should he do?
See, this one is... I feel like this one's easy for me because I don't care about sports at all.
Sportsball.
I don't care about sportsball with the kicking the pucks into the goalposts.
What sport is that?
All of them.
Okay.
I think it's actually rugby, but yeah, this one's easy for me. I would, as your mother says, bench him.
Okay.
Easy.
Why so?
It's just the basically my thing is with any team or even, you know, obviously like a work situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is not one or two people that are above the rest.
Okay.
So by these two doing, you know, going off and doing their own thing and ignoring the rules that everyone else has to follow and allowing them to do so, you are not only encouraging these people that they're, you know, better than everyone else and untouchable.
Yep.
But you are, what's the opposite of discouraging?
Yes.
Everyone else.
Right.
Because, you know, these people know, like, hey, if I did that, I would be benched or kicked off the team.
Right. And I think I agree in this instance. So, I mean, the tricky thing is you're going to have the whole community against you. You know, if they lose the game, they're going to say, you know, oh, it's the coach's fault because he benched Brad and Mike. But on the same aspect, if the coach never sets that example, then he's not going to get the same drive out of their players.
Right.
So I know you don't follow sports at all, really.
I do not, no.
But for example, like I look at like Tom Izzo, who's the head coach for the Michigan State basketball team.
Gotcha. Okay.
And if this would happen, even if it was his best starter, like job be damned, he's benching him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, seeing what he's done with that yeah, Izzo would never put up with this. You were correct. Like even if it was in the Final Four for the championship, like he would still make that decision, but he gets that drive out of his, you know, kids that play for him.
Right.
And so they want to play for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're not going to do something stupid like this.
Yeah. See, for me, it's easy because I don't care about sports. So everybody hating me because of a sports decision would not bother me whatsoever.
Yep.
But again, I also probably wouldn't be a coach if I didn't care about sports.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But for me, as an outside person, say I'm, you know, I'm talking to Jeff. You know, Coach Jeff.
Yep.
I would tell him to bench the little bastard.
Right.
There's two of them.
Plural.
Yeah. That's just where I stand on that one. That was easy.
Easy. Alrighty. What we got next?
Let's see. All right, so I got another little thing here to read off, and we'll, you know, break it down in I don't know. It was not what I was going for when I said that. I wasn't going for anything, but as soon as I said that, I just went full DX on that, didn't I?
Yeah, that's all right.
All right, so Tony, a data analyst for a major casino, is working after normal business hours to finish an important project. He realizes that he is missing data that had been sent to his coworker, Robert. This is already going badly. Never met a Robert I liked.
Right.
Tony had inadvertently observed Robert typing his password several days ago and decided to log into Robert's computer and resend the data to himself. Upon doing so, Tony sees an open email regarding gambling bets Robert placed over the last several days with a local sports book.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, Kilbo wrote this. I'm just reading it. All employees of the casino are forbidden to engage in gambling activities to avoid any hint of conflict of interests.
Okay.
Tony knows he should report this, but will have to admit violating the company's information technologies regulations by logging into Robert's computer. If he warns Robert to stop his betting, he would also have to reveal the source of his information. What does Tony do in this situation?
So, Tony, I think he has to report it. Like, as much as, like, logging into Robert's computer, like, was bad or against their technology regulation policy.
Right.
Like, Robert's gambling is obviously a more, like, I mean, technically now it's legal in some states, but
right.
Not only illegal, but also, like, as far as if we're weighing the issues that are listed in here, the gambling outweighs the logging into the computer, in my opinion.
I mean, does it though?
Yes.
I mean, I see, like, logically, yes, it does.
Right.
But as far as looking at it as,
I mean, Tony shouldn't have read the email because he was just there to send him some stuff.
Well, he shouldn't have been in his information in the first place.
Right. And I agree with that, but also, like, I don't know. I guess I see what you're saying now, because he's saying that he's working after hours to finish an important project. But it also doesn't say, like, the deadline in it. I think if we had a deadline, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tony would be immediately fired where I work. Well, no shit, you work in a bank.
I think they both would be probably fired.
I think they're both going to be fired.
You know, and that's the thing, like...
I think in the real world, Tony's going to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, in the real world, no, absolutely. Like, I think in the real world, what's going to happen is nobody's going to say anything about anything. Right. Tony's going to pretend it never happened.
Yep.
Or he's going to go the route that it said, or he'll talk to Robert and be like, hey, saw these, stop it.
Right.
And then he's going to be like, were you in my email? He'll be like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Tell on me? And they'll be like, yeah. I was like, I don't think you want to do that.
Bleed on me.
In a real life situation, I wouldn't do anything if I were Tony. Okay. Personally. The way I feel about it is it's not my problem.
True.
I mean, this might make me a bad employee. Good thing none of my managers listen to this.
Right.
It's not my problem. You know, if it was something that involved me, I'd be a little bit more concerned.
Right.
But the fact is that nobody has proof that I logged into it, that I knew his information, that I knew he had these issues, that he was doing these things, right?
Until your IT sees that Robert's not on the clock and he logged into a computer, but
that doesn't matter. Can't prove that it was me.
All right.
But basically, yeah, like it's not what Robert is doing with his gambling is not my problem.
Okay.
Doesn't affect me.
Alrighty.
So I honestly probably wouldn't do a thing about it.
Okay.
You know,
Alright.
I mean, that's just how I feel about it.
Alrighty.
I mean, I might, I don't know, it depends on how much I hated Robert and how much I hated my job.
Yeah.
If I hated Robert and didn't care about the job too much, I might say something.
Bye to both
It's
of
like, I know I'm getting fired, but I'm taking you with me.
Right. You're coming down.
But no, I don't. I want to say, like, and obviously, like, I want to say the moral thing, and I would do the right thing, you know, but that's kind of not how the real world works.
Alrighty.
And at least that's how I feel about it.
Okay.
So, because all that's going to happen is both people are going to get fired.
Yep.
For
being stupid.
Yeah, for something that, like the gambling, I guess I don't see how, he works at a casino, but, like, how is his gambling, how does that really affect the company whatsoever?
It's a conflict of interest.
How? Explain how. Oops.
Well,
Sorry.
Alright, so it's an interest that has a conflict.
Alright,
That's
well, thank you for,
interest.
thank you for clearing that up. I just completely changed the way I feel about this based upon that explanation.
Okay.
So,
Good.
yeah, I would do the right moral thing.
Right.
I would have to turn Robert in.
Alrighty. Glad we all got there.
No. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we would need a little bit more information to really make a final decision on this one.
Yeah, I mean, because my thing is, I'm looking at it from my life situation, right? Okay, say at my job, I ran into this situation, right?
Yep.
I cannot afford to lose my job.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from on this end. Like, if I do the right thing, I am screwed.
Alrighty.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because, you know, I turn him in. Basically, the most likely outcome is both of us get fired.
Yep.
And I, from my personal life in this situation, cannot afford that.
Alrighty.
So I would have to do.
So don't log into the email.
I probably wouldn't.
Alrighty. There we go. Problem solved.
I would just avoid the situation in the first place.
Hey.
Yeah, like I wouldn't.
Thanks for the follow.
You got to follow.
I did.
Yay! Thank you, follower of him. If you're looking for another channel to follow, I know a great guy.
Robert must suck at gambling if he has
a real 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I think I would talk to him. Just clearly, you're making some bad choices with your bets here, man.
Yeah.
It's like betting on the Detroit Lions soccer team.
I was gonna say, I was like, I thought you didn't watch sports.
I don't, but I know the Lions. At least they historically have not done well. I don't know if present
like
day,
Mufasa
if that still holds
Lion
up.
King. Whew.
Too
Alrighty.
soon. Too soon.
Yeah, too soon. He's back. I mean,
I know, but like we just get to watch him like die again.
Yep.
In crystal clear HD. Like that's great.
Yep.
Like that still haunts me to this day. Well, now I get to do it again.
Yep.
So.
Alrighty. So.
Right.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
So, every day, your commute back home requires you to exit from a 2-lane road onto a freeway.
Here we go.
To do so, you must be in the right lane, but that right lane backs up for 2 miles, adding 20 minutes to your daily commute. You're tempted to stay in the left lane, which moves much more quickly. And then, right before the freeway on-ramp, you would cut ahead of the cars that have been waiting the 20 minutes. Do you cut in or no?
All right, let me start this one off, okay? By saying, if I'm in line trying to exit to get to where I need to go, right? And you cut in front of me, or try to is the key word. Okay. My car is not worth much money, okay? I will total that car just to prove a point. Okay? And that point is, you get to the back of the line like everyone else.
Alrighty.
Alright? Just because you think that you have more important things to do, you're more important than other people, nobody cares.
Right.
You know? Get to the back of the line like everyone else.
And I think
all you're doing is just you're making it worse for the people behind you.
Right. And I think that's like, I mean, for you to even just like not answering the question, but answering it in a way, like for you to assume that you have more on your plate or more important stuff to do than anybody else in that line, in my opinion, makes you a piece of shit. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Like, you can't ever know what's going on in anybody else's life.
Right. Like, here's my thing. Like, in this, like, this doesn't happen to me often because none of the routes I take really put me in this situation.
Right.
But I've been in this situation.
Yep.
And let's try it in English this time. Even being in that situation, all I want to do is get to where I'm going.
Yep.
Right? But I don't want to make everyone else take longer for them to get to where they're going.
Okay.
Like, I'm, as much as I want to get, because also, like, I hate driving. Okay, as you probably know.
Nope. I have no idea.
Really? Okay. Well, now you know.
Alrighty.
I hate driving. I don't like it. I mean, I have no issue with, like, a short drive, but anything longer than, like, a half an hour, I hate it.
Okay.
So even though, like, all I want to do is get out of this car, because I hate being in the car, I am still going to sit there and wait like a good, decent human being, because I am not an asshole.
So you're saying people that cut in are assholes?
Absolutely.
All right. Everybody on the podcast that agrees, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, all you're doing, okay, you cut in, all you're doing, right, is pissing everyone else off behind you, okay? Because, like, while you may find that one car that lets you in. They're like, yeah, not a problem, come in. First of all,
right.
Fuck that person, okay? Second of all, that person may be fine, but the 17 cars behind him are going to see it, and they're going to be pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Or, what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to force yourself in, and the person's not going to let you in. Then you're going to have a freaking accident, and then everyone's going to be stuck there for another 7 hours while they wait for the people to clean it up.
Yep.
And if you would have just got to the back of the line, and just waited, turn on the radio, listen to some music, just relax.
Or a podcast.
Or a podcast. I know a great one to listen to.
Yeah, me too. No, and that's where, like, the first thing that came to mind when I was looking at this one was, after the first day of doing this, like, the daily commute.
Mm-hmm.
So, the way that this one is worded, I guess, is the thing that gets me. So it says every day. So obviously you've been doing this for a little bit.
Right.
So you know that is going to get backed up for 2 miles, and it's going to add 20 minutes to your commute. So the first day, I completely understand it. But you still don't cut in line. But after that, if you're not taking the effort or the time to plan for that extra 20 minutes, then, like, bullet to the head. No.
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, like, I understand, like, because there's times where I've had to drive places that I didn't know, you know.
Right.
Where not this exact thing, but like, you know, you're driving down a 2-lane road and one of the lanes ends and you have to merge abruptly because you didn't know.
Right. You haven't been in the area.
Right.
Get
like,
that.
A great example, right down the road here from me, where, what is it, coming down the road here, right? Would you fuck off, police? People are trying to live their lives here.
Yeah.
Damn. Rude. I don't know if you could hear the sirens through my
I
microphone
could.
or not, but...
Good.
But yeah, like, so basically right here, right in front of, I think it's right where Kmart used to be. It's a 2 lanes, but the right lane is a right-only turn.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And nearly every day, I would basically run into that situation. People would go straight through and then try to, you know, zoom into the left lane at the last second.
Yep.
No, it doesn't add 20 minutes to my commute, but it still pisses me off. Especially because I made that commute for a long time every day, right?
Right. Yep.
I've seen the same freaking cars do it multiple times a day.
Of course, because they know they can get away with it.
Yeah. And then, to make it worse, I then followed said vehicle who tried to pull out in front of me and had to park next to them at work.
Ooh.
Alright? They don't know I know, but I know. And I am pissed.
Alrighty. Well, if I'm dead...
You know what?
Nice.
You came from a completely different direction, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
We were never even on the same road.
Alrighty. That's good to know.
So that just pisses me off.
Alrighty.
Alright, what's next?
We got a few more here. So you sell new Chevys.
I do?
Yep.
Right. Can I drive one?
No.
Oh. Anyway, so I sell new Chevys. Let's go.
Yep.
Got this.
Customer is trying to decide between a Chevy Cruze and a Mazda 3. She tells you that reliability is the #1 criteria in choosing her new car. She states, I hate getting into my car to go to work and then it won't start. Or the vulnerability of being on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck. She thinks that the Chevy is more reliable than the Mazda. You think she is wrong, but aren't sure. You are thinking of checking the consumer reports and letting the customer know the final answer. But in doing so, you are possibly losing a sale. Would you check the reports and let the customer know the honest truth?
This
or would
one
you try to get a sale?
This was easy for me.
Okay.
Because as you know, I've worked a lot in sales.
No.
Lies.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
What did you really not know that for a second?
No,
I didn't know that for a
I've
second.
just been-
Okay, I don't. Sometimes I don't know with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've worked. I mean, granted, it was nothing as to the scale of selling cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've done a lot of phone sales. I worked for Boost Mobile, Verizon, and all of them together, basically at the time.
Right.
So I've done a lot of the sales, or like selling was my #1 job.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
And this is easy for me because I'm not the person where numbers and my paycheck are my top priority.
Okay.
Like, obviously, like, I want to make money and I want to, look good for within the company that I'm working for, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I don't like selling people things that I know they either don't need or don't want.
Okay.
So even with, like, back in my cell phone days, I would have old people come in, right?
Okay.
And they would, most people would try to like sell them a brand new like Galaxy S10 or an iPhone,
Yep.
That's not what I did. I would sell them either your basic entry level smartphone or even a flip phone.
Okay.
Because that's what they want / what they need.
They
right?
just needed to make phone calls, yeah.
Right. Because I'm not going to put them in something that they don't want.
Okay.
And it would be the same thing with the car. Like, right. Obviously, like, the what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, what's the word? Commission. There we go.
Oh, okay.
On a car versus a cell phone is obviously a huge difference.
Right.
Where, I made like $10 off that phone. I might make, $5,000 off the car.
Right.
But I think to me, it's more important to myself to, especially in that situation where it's, it's not just like, oh, I don't know if I want a Chevy or a Mazda because I don't know which one I think is cooler.
Right.
In that situation, I'm going to shove that Chevy down their throat.
Yeah.
But when they're talking about actual, like, reliability, when that's their main concern, I am going to be the person who looks up the results and hands off my sale to someone else if I have to.
Okay. Which I think that's where, like, I agree with you 100% on this one and your mindset, but to add to it just a little bit is one of the biggest things, in my opinion, is you give a customer great customer experience, even if it means sending them to another dealership. The likelihood of that customer returning and doing business with you in the future is a lot higher than if they down the road find out that you didn't do the research and you just told them that the Chevy Cruze,
right,
is better.
Yeah, if they find out that you just told them what they needed to hear for them to buy the car.
Yep.
And that's kind of how I approached. This is why I don't work in sales anymore, by the way. Because that mentality, that mindset, doesn't sit well with your superiors.
Yeah.
In that field. And here's the thing, like, I was amazing at sales. Like, not like trying to be like I'm, talking myself up, but like when it came to phone sales, I was amazing.
Yep. And
my sales were always super high. But because I didn't just try to shove sales down everyone who I knew didn't want them,
had probably a big play in it.
Yeah. Like, I was looked down on because I did that.
Right.
Like, my sales could be, number one in whatever market we're in. But if they see me one customer try not to, like, completely try to upsell them, they didn't like it. But, like, my thing has always been, you take care of your customers, regardless if that means they're buying from you or not.
Right.
Because my mentality in this situation was always, every customer that comes into my store is not going to buy something. Whether it's a car or a phone or whatever, right?
Right. Just not feasibly going to happen.
Right. So my goal was always to, like I said, this person might not buy something. But what I want to do is when they walk out not buying anything, when they decide later they're ready to buy this thing, they're going to come back to me because of how I treated them.
Yep.
And it's not that hard to not be like a scummy salesman. But I guess in order to be a salesman, you kind of have to be because it's sales.
Yeah.
And numbers are your top priority. Only thing that matters. Which is why I no longer work in sales.
Right.
So.
I agree.
So that's all I have to say about that.
Alrighty.
Alright, what do we have left? Let's see, let's look at my list here. Alright, so we got another one here. Let me adjust my headphones. They're starting to, like, press onto my glasses and hurt my ears, man. I'm getting too old for this.
Gotcha.
Alright. So, here we go. You've been married for 5 years, and you live in a city with a high cost of living.
Okay.
You made nearly all of the income in your household and because of that, it's been a real strain.
Okay.
You begged your spouse to find a job. The stress is killing me, you yell. You said that in like a Dr. Seuss voice somehow. But it has been to no avail. Your spouse has only made half-hearted attempts to find a job, which unsurprisingly have failed. You were quite sure your spouse sabotaged efforts to land a job because he/she didn't want to work. After 3 years, you are increasingly sure that the marriage won't last, so you hid $25,000 by giving it to your mother for safekeeping.
Okay.
You are now divorcing, and although $75,000 remains in your joint account, a friend tells you to put that $25 back into the pot to be divided with your spouse in the divorce settlement. Do you put all of that money in there and do everything the legit, honest way, or do you keep that money for yourself? I'm going to let you start this one off, being the married man here.
It's hard. I mean, it's different because, like, I don't have a bad relationship with Sydney, which I hope all marriages are that way. But so in this sense, if this was the instance and I was the one that was solely bringing in the money, and I asked her to find a job and she didn't, or she purposely tried to sabotage it, I don't think. Again, I don't know. It's one of those that you have to be in the situation, but I don't think I would have an issue keeping that 25,000. Like, I understand you're hiding it from her, but again, like, knowing that I'm the solely income, like, I've earned that money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so I shouldn't get punished for having a safekeepings fund of my money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, in this instance, it sounds like they had a rough marriage anyway. Now, like,
Yeah.
in Sydney and I's marriage, like we have a joint account, like, and everybody knows, you know, what money we have. So it'd be a little bit different. Like, you know, if I would have a hidden account from her or whatever, I think that would pop up some red flags to her, which she would be justified in, you know, questioning.
Right.
Of why I was doing that. But in the event that, like, the divorce does happen, I don't think that, you know, like, it's a bad thing.
Yeah, my opinion on this is, pretty much the same. I don't see, like, you hear about this kind of stuff all the time in marriages, like,
Yep.
You know, somebody marries somebody who's rich, then divorces them and gets half their money.
Yep.
I don't understand why that's a thing. Like, just because you married somebody, suddenly you're entitled to half of everything they do ever.
Right.
Even though you may contribute absolutely nothing to it.
Which, I know it's supposed to be like a give and take situation, but, like, if they're not giving, like,
right.
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
why
like,
do they get to take?
Yeah. I don't understand, like, why, you know, you marry somebody, like I said, you marry somebody, and just like that, you are forever entitled to half of everything they ever earn.
Yeah.
Even though you didn't contribute anything to it. Like, in your situation, where it's, you know, like a normal situation where both parties work, right?
Yep.
You know, in that situation, like, obviously, like, one person's probably going to make more than the other person. That's just normal.
Yeah.
But, like, in that situation, you two are both contributing. Like, while it may not be exactly 50-50, you know, like, you're still
better than like 100 to 0.
Right. Like, so like I said, it may be, you know, like 70-30, right?
Yeah.
But like the difference between that is, even with that 30%, like, you're still trying to contribute. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So for me in that situation, that's when the split makes sense.
Yep.
But when the other person refuses to, you know, not commit, but contribute.
Okay.
Anything. That's when I don't feel they're entitled to anything.
Yep. I would agree.
Yeah, especially like if they refuse to get a job, because I mean, like, money when it comes to a relationship, obviously money is not important.
Yep.
I mean, it is and it isn't, right? Like, it's not like a key factor, and it shouldn't be. But there comes a point where, whether you want it to be or not, money becomes kind of a very top priority.
Right, a necessity almost, if you may.
Yeah. It's not because, hey, I want to be rich, you bastard, get a job. It's more because I can't continue to bust my ass and break my body for, essentially, like, it comes to a point where, like, a lot of people, they work 40, 50 hours a week, right?
Yep.
And they still can't support their spouse on that money.
Yep.
And that's when it becomes the problem. That's when money becomes the problem. Is because this person is basically, how do I speak right now? They're basically almost like kind of destroying their body. I mean, obviously, like, this depends on the job, obviously, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
physical labor is going to hurt you more than
right
else.
So, like, you're destroying your body or your mind, because just going to work every day is just, like, especially when you don't feel like you're getting ahead because of it.
Yeah.
Like, going to work is just mentally just draining sometimes in that situation.
I agree.
So, like, if you're going to work every day 40, 50, 60 hours a week that some people do, and you're coming home to a situation that is basically making that money that you earn the top priority in anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's when that person who is making the money the priority doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't have any right to the money, because they wouldn't ever contribute or try to earn any on their own. Therefore, they have no right to the money that the other person busted their ass for.
Earned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Alrighty. We got 2 left here. This one might lose a couple viewers here.
Yeah. But this one, I'm excited about this one. I like this one. So,
if anybody has heard about Dr. Kevorkian, y'all know what he did. But for those of you that didn't hear or hasn't heard about Dr. Kevorkian, Dr. Kevorkian was a gentleman who basically set up means for people, normally patients with like cancer or some disease,
like terminal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And basically set up a button with high doses of morphine that basically put them to sleep like you would a dog. So the actual term that they used for Dr. Kevorkian was assisted suicide. So the question that comes up with Dr. Kevorkian a lot is, do you think he was in the right in doing so? And If so, why? If not, why not?
So, do I think that what Kevorkian did was wrong, basically?
Yes.
Short answer or a long answer?
We can start short and see where
Short
it goes.
answer, no.
Okay.
I don't believe that he did anything wrong. I mean, according to the law, yes.
Yep.
But morally, I don't see, because it's not like he didn't kidnap these people. He didn't, tie them up and, force this on them. Like, these people sought him out.
Right. Willingly.
These people came to him.
Yep.
These people are terminally ill. Like, their lives are just miserable. Like, they're too sick to move. They can't get out of bed. They can't eat. They can't,
Yep.
I think in that situation, I'd probably be looking for Jack as well,
Right.
I think in that situation where, like, there comes to a point when, like, they tell you that there's nothing they can do, right? Doctors are like, hey, sorry, but, you're gonna die.
Yep.
And like I said, your life just goes downhill. Like I said, you can't move, you can't eat, you're hooked up to tubes, you can't even breathe on your own sometimes,
Yeah. I think for me, one of the biggest things in how I broke this one down, because short answer for me is I agree with you, and the fact that Kevorkian necessarily wasn't wrong in what he was doing. Now, how I broke it down and what I looked at when I was looking at it is, you think about pets, right?
Mm.
So you think about your dog or your cat or your iguana or whatever other type of animal that you may or may not have.
Right.
The instant that they start feeling sick, or the instant that they get diagnosed with cancer or some sort of, cats have a common issue with like kidneys failing and stuff. Like, as soon as that happens,
feline leukemia and things like that. Yeah.
Right. As soon as that happens, we can pull the trigger on that instantly. We can give the vet the authorization to put the dog down. So why, as human beings, I don't think it's... I think when we look at our relatives, or, which is a lot of the common, like, arguments for Dr. Kevorkian being wrong was that, these people were moms, grandmothers, daughters, kids, siblings, like whatever you want to say, to somebody else that didn't think it was right. But at that point, in my honest opinion, you're being selfish.
Right. Like, go ahead. No, sorry, go ahead.
If you can physically see that somebody is in pain to that extent, the same extent that we would a dog or a cat, every single one of them is a living being, whether it's a human, or any sort of animal.
Right.
They all have they all have hearts, like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
They're no different, and we can do one in a split second and we'll be sad. But a human being, for us to do, is difficult, and I guess I would like to know why it is difficult for people. Like, if I was in that situation, I would hope and pray that somebody would put me out of my misery.
Right. Yeah, because... So let me ask you kind of a little question based on that.
Okay.
Let's say, obviously, hopefully this never happens, but your wife, right?
Okay.
She, something, the super bad cancer that I can't think of a word for.
Okay.
Basically, she ends up in this situation, right?
Okay.
She's stuck in a hospital, or, stuck in a bed. She basically can't do anything, right?
Okay.
But she can talk, barely. And she tells you that she wants to give Jack a call.
Okay.
Obviously, that's a metaphor for, because she can't call up Kevorkian because there's a couple of issues with that.
Right.
Like, what do you do in that situation?
I mean, I honor her. I mean, stand by her side till death do us part. And if she wishes that, if she's at that point, like, of pain and misery and suffering, like, I don't want her to suffer anymore. Like,
right.
If it's gotten to the point where the doctors told me, yep, she's pretty much, we're just waiting for it at this point.
Right.
And, she can't do anything. She physically can't eat or drink or get out of bed, like, perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Now, if the doc came in and said there's a slight bit of hope, that might be a different issue. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and that's how I feel like if, say that happened with my girlfriend right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it came down to that situation and she told me that's what she wanted, it's one of those things that, like, I would try to talk her out of it,
Mm-hmm.
like, be like, hey, don't do that. That's bad.
No,
Dad. But, like, it's one of those things where, as much as, like, I would try to be like, hey, don't do this, please, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, I think I would understand it.
But,
like,
I guess follow-up question to you. Now, why would you say, no, please don't do that?
Because I
understand you love her, and you don't want her to go, but at the same time, you're kind of being selfish in that aspect. That
I completely agree with that.
Like,
my thing is like, depending on what the situation is,
mm-hmm.
I think in that situation, I would try to hold out as long as I could for some sort of breakthrough, I guess.
Okay.
But I think there would come a point where I would let it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, like, I wouldn't, like, stop it, I don't think. As in that situation, I would talk about it.
Right.
And I would understand, like, it would probably be the most difficult thing I'll ever do in my life.
Yep.
But, like, I would do it, I think.
Okay.
Like, it wouldn't be easy. Obviously, it wouldn't be fun. But I think after, if that's what, she truly wanted,
yep,
that's what I would respect that, even though it sucks.
Yep.
As I would hope that she would do the same in, the reverse situation. Okay. So, that's okay. But so here's what I don't understand. Okay. So if you can't, go through the whole assisted suicide, right?
Yep.
You can't be euthanized, right?
Yep.
Like, I understand there's like a medical difference between the two, but I don't understand how there's like a legal difference between somebody who's in a coma for a long time.
Okay.
They pull the plug, right?
Yep.
How is that any different?
Right. In fact, that's worse because you're making that decision. That person can't talk.
Right.
The people that Kevorkian killed could at least say, yes, I'm okay with this.
Look, I'm not like an expert in the whole Kevorkian situation, but like from the little tidbits that I have read in the past, like he would do like, again, like I don't know if this is true, but I had read things like he would kind of do like a mini like psych eval on people.
Okay.
To basically see if like they were kind of thinking clearly about what they were doing.
Yeah.
Whether make sure they weren't just like just trying to do like a suicide just because they wanted to, and not opposed to like because their life is physically impossible to deal with.
Yeah.
As opposed to emotionally impossible.
Yep.
Like I said, I don't know if that's accurate or not. If anybody's a Kevorkian expert,
right.
First of all, study something else probably.
Right.
And tell me if I'm wrong or not. But yeah, like these people reached out to him. Like I believe he signed consent forms.
Yep.
Which obviously legally doesn't mean anything in the situation.
No.
But
no.
But these people they knew what they were doing.
Yep.
Like they were doing this because that is what they wanted to do. That is what they felt was the best option.
Because they were so miserable.
Right. So if you can't make that decision, suicide is technically illegal.
Yes.
But obviously you can't convict somebody of suicide.
Yep.
Unless you learn how to reanimate them, in which case that's just a dick move.
Guess what?
But yeah, so I mean, why is it that you can't make the decision yourself while you are still mentally sound enough to make that decision?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can have someone else make that decision for you,
right,
while you have no say in it.
Yeah. Because if we're going down that route, like comas and stuff, even, like, if you think about it, like people that sign like a do not resuscitate clause, that should be considered suicide then. I
agree. Like, I don't understand, like
where's the line, I guess, is where I would like to see on this issue.
Yeah, see, my issue with these issues about these issues is nothing. This is just kind of my philosophy on governing bodies and their laws and everything is like, while I understand that nothing's black and white, right? Nothing's either, A or B. But the problem in situations like these is there kind of needs to be more of a black and white.
Yep.
Because then you have situations that are essentially the same, but one little difference. Like, oh, this guy wants to kill himself, but it's illegal. This guy wants to kill himself, but he's wearing a checkered shirt, so we'll let him do it.
Right.
Like, obviously that's like a joke, but I mean, that's kind of how they work. Like, same basic concept.
But 20 different outcomes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, that's just, I don't understand it. Like, while I understand that, like, things like this are not black and white, there does need to be a more solid line somewhere. Whether I agree where that line is or not, I do feel...
It needs to be established.
Exactly.
Yep.
So, and that's all I have to say about that. Wish I could do a better Forrest Gump voice.
Right. Well, while we're on the subject of medical issues...
doctors, so this is kind of...
last one of the night.
So this is kind of wrap it back around a little bit, similar to the trolley problem that we initially started with tonight.
Okay.
Same idea, but obviously a little bit different. So you are a doctor.
Nope.
And okay, you're right. You're not a doctor.
Okay.
I'm a doctor. According to my initials, I am actually. Right. Anyway, so let's say for instance you're a doctor, okay? You have 6 patients, okay? 5 of them are all critically injured and are all in need of organ transplants, right?
Okay.
And your 6th patient is extremely ill, however, will make a full recovery with giving him a particular medicine that you have. Right?
Okay.
But this one patient who you can easily save happens to be a match Like, 5 of his organs are perfect for the other 5 patients that you have.
So, with this one person, if we let him die,
you save the other 5.
I mean,
and you give this guy the medicine, he's fine. You save the guy, but 5 other people died.
I don't know. It's the same basic concept for me.
See, this one kind of...
In the aspect of, like... I mean, not giving the dude the medicine would be a bitch move. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You know, in a world where this doesn't happen as often as it
in
does
a world. Sorry.
This summer.
In a world where this doesn't happen and everything is rainbows.
But
Sorry.
no, you're good. But like what I'm saying is like, so if this was a one-time thing, like I would think that you would have to let the one person die to save the 5. But in our world, like in a world, in our world, you have to, like, people die every day from not getting it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And in our society, at least, you know, modern day society, you have to deal with the, what's it called? The Hippocratic Oath?
Right.
Is that what it's called? Is that the...
Yeah, something like that.
It seems like you're just calling him a hypocrite.
Hypocrite, yeah. But, like, there's specific programs in place for Ogun.
The Ogun Downers. Ogun Downers.
For Ogun. Oh my gosh. Organ donors. To find
organic
the organs.
donuts.
Yeah, to find the organs that they need. So I think, like, this one's a little different because, but see, then I'm going back on what I said previously.
Yeah, see, that's change up the situation. It kind of, you know, changes
you're not
the way
pulling
you look
the
at
lever.
it.
You're actually physically choosing not to, or like, you know, it's kind of the same. It's more in lines with pushing somebody off the overpass that we talked about.
Right. Like this one, I feel like, yeah, you're very, very involved in whether or not this person lives or dies.
Right.
Like, you are the one person who can save him or her.
Right.
Like, you have the medicine, like you have the syringe or the antidote or whatever in your hand.
Yep.
And you have to make a choice.
I think you've got to save him and just hope that, I mean, obviously, I mean...
Try to save him, hope he still dies anyway.
Yeah. And then, or, I mean, who knows? Like, one of the persons that is needing an organ could need a kidney or something that you can live with one. You know what I mean? So maybe you can still save 2 or 3 people with saving this one person, you know?
Right.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I think you'd have to give the medicine to the person.
I think...
I mean, in our world, you would have to give the person the medicine.
Yeah, I think in this situation, for me personally, I think I would, in that situation, I would do what I can to save who I can.
Yep.
And, you know, in this situation, I know I have exactly what this one person needs. So, my logic would be save who I know I can save.
Right.
You know, like...
Because people die in hospitals every single day.
Right.
Lots of people.
Yeah. Like, so I would basically fix who is essentially dying the fastest.
Yeah.
You know,
if it's going to be, you can say for some miracle, let's say you can save 500 people with the one person, like maybe 498 of them need like 1 inch of large intestine to save them, and the other half, like, or the other two need like organs, like that might be a different situation. But I just don't feel like 5 is high enough in this instance.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the trolley problem, like it's not going to happen every day. Like workers being on the train tracks and you have to save them. So you choose to do one in that instance to save 5. Like that's not going to be a decision you have to make every day. But doctors literally probably have to make this decision, not necessarily every day, but, in larger hospitals and metropolitan areas, like Chicago, like Los Angeles and stuff. I'm sure they have to deal with this issue, close to a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think like as far as like you saying like making that decision like every day for doctors, I don't think that that's even a decision that they have to make.
right, because it's already laid out for them.
Right, like they said, they have the laws, they have like basically until it gets to a certain point. Mm-hmm. Like you said, like maybe like 500 people, maybe more. Like in that situation, I can't like justify. For me, I find it hard to justify doing anything to take a life to save others.
Right.
And like especially in this situation, because this is a lot more everything blood's on your hands in this situation as opposed to the trolley problem. Right. Where in that one you are forced into that situation, right? Like you are forced there to make that choice, right? Yeah. This is not like this is like some Saw level stuff, basically. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like,
and it's like, gonna get out too that you had the medicine and it was never given to him.
Yeah, like this is
in our world.
In our world, I want to play a game.
Yeah.
I don't know if that sounds like him at all.
Like a Donald Trump like Saw voice all in one. That was really weird.
Yeah, I want to play a game. But no, like I said, the actual like trolley issue, like the way it's, at least the way it's presented, is you're kind of like you wake up and you're in the situation.
Yep.
As opposed to being a doctor, where like this situation, you put yourself in the situation.
Yep.
Like you went through way too many years of school to basically earn the right to make these decisions.
Yep.
So in this one, I feel like when you're presented with this situation, to me, it's not basically refusing to save one person because they can save 5 other people.
Right.
To me, I don't think that is right. So that's yep. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's what I have to say about that.
Alrighty.
I don't know why I've said that after like every topic lately.
I don't know. Probably because you're weird.
And I'm very tired.
But I think that wraps up episode 2.
Episode 2.
The B2 show coming in live from the B2 studios here in downtown Los Angeles.
Which are separate places from each other. It's a very big studio.
Yes.
So
very huge. We're actually in an old abandoned warehouse. So.
Damn, look tough as shit. I hate to drop this up in front of you. Yeah, I've done it before. It's not fun.
So. Alrighty, well, I think that is it. Unless you got anything else.
I don't think I have anything else. I think we kind of covered what we were going for, and yeah, that's
been fun.
Been real.
Hasn't been real fun.
I thought it was a great time.
My bad.
All right. So on that note,
we hope you all had fun.
Yes.
We hope you enjoyed the topic. If you guys have any ideas for future topics, let us know on Facebook. Our link is below.
Somewhere.
Sure,
it's on my page somewhere. I don't know. I don't pay attention anymore. Yeah, like I said, we're still working on the page for the actual podcast here.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll have something done. We'll be posting that stuff to our current B2 page. And once we get things done, we'll be posting it. So that's all I got right now, because my brain is just trying to shut itself off.
Gotcha.
So
well, that's it for us for the stream and podcast tonight. We will catch you all next time on the B2 show. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye.